Good evening. Can you hear me well? I hope you can.
Lady Bell, you have to unmute yourself.
I am
Unmuted.
Hello, everybody.
There you go.
There I am. Hi, everybody. And I'm on Facebook Live as well. So to the wonderful Dr. Vita, I know I gave you a title, Dr. Vita McCoy, the amazing. She has so many wonderful, she's awesome. She's yummy, guys. I love her. She's amazing. And to the Wives of Fire and Desire Marriage Fellowship, thank you so much for allowing me to come on and be with you. Thanks for Facebook Live, for being with me tonight. So I'm multitasking here, okay? So y'all bear with me. Let me know if you can hear me, if you can't hear me. But I'm excited about coming to Clinton, Maryland, June 2nd and 3rd. So if you are in the DMV area, meet us there. Stay tuned to our page, my page. Follow Vita McCoy, VEDA, on social media. She is amazing. And we'll be together June 2nd and 3rd. And check this out. I'm going to be talking about the S word. And you know what? I'm not talking about submission. Okay? I'm talking about sex. If you're married, that's what I'm going to be talking about. And even for those that are, like she said, wives to be, wanting to be married, we're going to have that discussion. It's going to be classy, but it's going to be good. And it's going to be some news you can use. Okay? Shout out to my BFF, Donald Bell Jr. Hey, babe. Thank God for the ladies of Wifeability. We are always embracing accountability through sisterhood. So follow us on all social media networks. We'd love to have you a part of our community, a part of our family. Now, I got just a few minutes, and y'all know we're gonna get in and we're gonna get right on out of the way so you all can enjoy your evening. But I want you to grab a pen really quickly, take notes, because I'm gonna jump right in. Now, I know some of y'all are like, okay, what this little chocolate girl gonna say to me? Those of you who can see me on social media who don't know me, but in about 1 month, I will be married to my BFF, Donald Bell Jr. for 17 years. And even though I look 17, okay, I've been with him since I was 19 years old, and I'm 39 now. So, and I really had no clue what I was doing after a year of dating him, a year of being engaged to him, and then now 17 years later, we've moved 7 times since we've been married, and now 2 kids later, I realized that I'm not an expert, but I got a little bit of experience. And so I want to walk you through very briefly my experience as a young wife. And one of the things that I learned about being a wife, I learned several things about being a wife, and I'm going to try to get as much as I can in, and then the rest of it, you're going to have to meet us in Maryland, June 2nd and 3rd. So my book, Becoming an Intentional Wife, A Real Wife's Guide to Excellence in Marriage and in Life, it's a comprehensive guide. It's a comprehensive perspective on marriage. So it's for the wife. It's for the woman to understand her perspective about marriage. And some of the perspectives that we've gotten over the years from society, from our mamas, from our grandmothers, from our aunties who we ain't never seen with a man. Okay, no shade on auntie, but you know, we were taught how to trap a man. We weren't taught how to keep one. Okay, we were taught how to, you don't let no man run over you. You don't let, and that's true. But there's a way that you do all things. Okay, and so my goal in writing this book, and I'm not going to get too deep into the book because it's very, even though it's a small book, we were able to hit some things very quickly and to the point, and and go for the jugular. Okay, I want women to understand and to disrupt the thought processes that all men cheat, because all men do not cheat. We want to disrupt the thought process that women hate submission. We don't hate submission. We don't hate it. Okay, it's just that we teach women, listen, if you're going to submit, if you're going to surrender your future to somebody, make sure he has a plan for his own future. So if you're not with him, he can still move on without you. Okay. Also, we want to disrupt the thought process that you have to test the penis before you marry him. Yes, I said penis. Yes, I speak in tongues. I prophesy. I do all of that. But we got to keep it real. Okay, that's why these people are sneaking around, sexting, texting the bishop. The bishop will send his stuff, but he won't talk about it. Sir, we need to help these people get delivered. The people need to be free. The people need truth. The people need to understand. Lust needs to be confronted. And so we want to make sure that we disrupt those patterns and bringing biblical sex. Even our single ladies they're disgusted. They don't want to get married because some of them don't want to get married because they don't want to have to deal with the shenanigans that they've been taught about sex. They're like, I got to do that. I got to do that because it's been presented on such a nasty platter. But we want to make sex beautiful again because God created it and it was good when he did it. Okay. And so I want to make sure that we disrupt those processes. That's part of what that book is about. We also want to talk about how if that husband, you marry him, I hear women say, well, I got to test it before I get married. I know women that tested it before they got married and now it don't work. Okay. So just because you test it before you get married doesn't mean it's going to work after the fact. Okay. So I want to make sure that we bring a biblical perspective back to being a wife, bringing dignity back to it. Society has even taught us, some women are saying, well, I don't need to get married. I can have a covenant without a paper, or I can have a partnership without a paper. Listen, I'm not going to be in a situation where God is not getting the glory out of my life because my marriage is not where it needs to be. We want to disrupt the thought process that just because your husband, ladies, is being petty in an argument does not mean you have to join him. Just because you feel like your issues that you're having with him are bigger than the issue that he has with you, that's not the case. We don't know what those men did, what our men are dealing with. Some of us we have to become very aware of what these men are dealing with. Some of them are coming to the relationship having been molested and raped. Usually we only talk about molestation and rape when it's just in the women's perspective, but there are men who are coming to the relationship wounded. All right. And the standard of marriage must be raised. I even had to start in my own marriage. I wrote the book, Becoming an Intentional Wife, because even though after I finished writing the book, I just wanted to make sure I didn't have a mediocre marriage, because that's what I had. I had a mediocre, and I don't want y'all to think I'm throwing my husband under the bus. We've talked about this several times. But we had a mediocre marriage. Nothing major was going on, nothing bad, but nothing exciting was going on either. Okay? And so when you stop trying in the relationship, stop being intentional in the relationship, when you stop caring, start being apathetic. I don't really care. I'm indifferent. I don't care if he comes or goes. I don't care if he come home or not. I don't care if we have sex or not. What, ma'am? No, you need to care. And so my desire is to confront you and jolt you and excite you and get you pumped again about your marriage. Our single ladies, getting them excited, not idolatry, not to worship marriage, but to worship the one who created it. Okay? Now, I also want to, we want to make sure that the women, that wives are understanding that you don't need to blame the side chick. Okay, don't blame the side chick for everything, because if my husband, I'm talking about mine now, if my husband decided he wanted to cheat on me, I have to ask myself, Adrienne, what part did I play in him losing his attraction for me or his respect for me? Because anytime a man takes a moment, either he lost respect for himself and you, or he lost respect for the marriage covenant. And you got to ask yourself, wait a minute. I can't make him sleep with that woman, but I don't want to be the reason he does. Okay? If he goes into the arms of another woman, it will be on him, but I don't want to help him with my mouth. I don't want to help him go into a situation where he has to find comfort and safety in the lap of another woman. No, that's not going to happen on my watch. And I'm sober and alert, and all of my members are working. I need to get to work. One of the biggest questions I used to ask God when I was early in our marriage was, well, God, what about him? What about your boy? Jesus, get your boy. So I said, God, and that was just pride. Let's be real, because I know I'm not the only one that said that. I know I'm not the only one who thinks that. And even sometimes, I got to rebuke that thought. I'll be like, well, Jesus, what about him? I'll be like, okay, grow up. Hey, that's not your lane. Stay out of your lane. He's God's son too. So be careful what you say about that man. Be careful how you talk about that man. Be careful how you talk about that man to yourself. Be careful how you talk about that man in your heart. Because just because you didn't say it doesn't mean you're not saying it with your countenance. You're not saying it when you're having sex with him. You're not saying it when you're on Facebook asking little shady questions, trying to act like, well, this ain't about my husband. Ma'am, we know it's about your husband. Stop it. So I want to encourage and I want to offend some people, because that's the thing. The Bible says we can offend those we can judge those who are in the body, who say that we're Christians and we love God, and I'm just a woman of God, especially us preachers, okay, who feel like we can pray more than we can go and be with our husbands. Okay, so those of you that are single, that are already prophets, and God bless your ministry, I pray that your itinerary is full for the year. However, when you get married, you have to make sure that your husband is a priority, and also make sure that the man that you are dating or that you are engaged to is really fan of your ministry, or he really prays for you, or he really has your back. Because what you don't want to do is get into a marriage where your husband is jealous of you. Ain't nobody got time for that. Okay? Now, let me get back. So, get your pen. 1 Corinthians 13. Yes, that is the love book. 1 Corinthians 13. But I want to jump all the way down to verse 11. We don't like this part. Paul said, when I was a child, I spake as a child. I understood as a child. I thought as a child. But when I became, I'm going to just put woman. When I became a woman, when I became an adult, when I became a tax-paying citizen, I put away childish things. And so on the title of the Facebook post, I put, I think I hate my husband. And the reason why I put that is because there are many women who really think, and I was one of them, Lord, I don't think I like him. I think I might just hate him just a little bit. I need you to help me with that. I need you to deal with my heart because I got an issue with him. And I realized, ladies, that most of my issues with him were self-inflicted. Now, some of them he was responsible for, but some of them were my own preferences that God was saying to me, listen, that ain't my issue. You're blaming him for something that he did not do. That sock that he left on the floor is not a problem. You're making it a problem. Okay. Now, here's the thing I want you to understand, and I want you to write this down. Going back to what I said about, well, Lord, what about him? And in the book, we talk about how it takes two. Yes, it takes two. It absolutely takes two. That's the conversation that women have with me. Well, you're telling me what I'm doing wrong. What about him? But I ask you, yes, it takes two. But what about you? What would God, if I wasn't there, what would those cameras say? If there was a camera following you when nobody was looking, when you were in your car, when you were in your bedroom by yourself with your husband, what would the Lord and those cameras say about you? When you get to the judgment seat, your husband won't even be there. So God is not going to ask you about him. He's going to ask you about you. Now, I shuddered at that fact because I didn't want God to, I'm like, no, let's go back to him, Jesus. Don't deflect. Let's go back to your boy. And no, God was like, no, you need to stay focused on what you did, what you said, your posture, your attitude, how your emotions were all over the place. And you overreacted. How about that? So, yes, it takes two, but did you contribute to the dysfunction? With your silent treatments, with you withholding sex. Now, if you want to see me have an attitude, withholding a sex from a husband. Now, I'm not talking about sexual abuse. So let's be clear, because, some of us, we go off the deep end. But I'm talking about those of us who will spend more time withholding sex from our husbands. And when it's time to go to bed, that's when we want to pray and be, oh, honey, I hear the Lord beckoning me. Ma'am, go to bed and be with your man, okay? But then when when God wakes you up in the middle of the night and he wants you to pray and intercede for the nation that you say you're called to, okay, then you roll over, you go to the bathroom and you go back to bed. So yes, it takes two, but it makes sure that it takes two that you're doing your part. And that's what the book is about. Are you doing your part? It's not about fixing your husband. It's about you doing your part. It's about you changing your perspective about your role in the marriage. Yes, it takes two, but I'm not going to contribute to the dysfunction with my silent treatment, withholding sex from my husband, gossiping to him, to his family and my friends. And I've done it. I will never teach you anything that I have never done. Okay? So if I'm contributing to the dysfunction, then don't go to God talking about what about him, because God is just going to turn it right back on you. Yes, it takes two. But what about the time you were supposed to obey? Your husband said, babe, I only want to spend $1,000, and you spend $2,000 and say, God told you to do it. Ma'am, don't be lying on Jesus. Don't lie on the Holy Ghost because you wanted to spend that money. It takes two. But what about you? What about the time? Yes, it takes two, but what about the times you refuse to apologize because you were too hurt to do it? Now, let's be clear. Some of us aren't hurt. Some of us are stubborn. Some of us are immature and need to grow up. And that's what the scripture was telling us to do. Okay? Now, if I'm really hurt and my husband decides to apologize and I'm like, I don't want to talk to you. I'm still mad. I'm still upset. Okay, then you ain't hurt. You might be angry. The Bible says be angry, but sin not. But when you lie and say that you are something that you're not, God cannot intervene on your situation. But Adrienne, I'm going to talk about me. I would say I was hurt, but I really wasn't hurt. I just wanted him to think I was still mad. Evil. Me. That's what I would do. I'm talking about me. So when you're stubborn, like Adrienne was, immature, like Adrienne was, you want to keep the drama going. You see him being nice, he buying you flowers and he doing nice stuff. No, ma'am, no. Grow up. If he's apologized, find out and we'll discuss this when we're in Maryland. What is your apology language? What is your love language? We done roll out the love languages, okay? Now everybody know what everybody's love languages are, but what about the apology language? What works for my husband does not work for me. I don't need him to buy me no flowers. I just need you to fix it, beloved. Thank you for the flowers. Keep your money. Just fix it. So we got to find out what's going on in our marriages. We got to find out. Father, show us where we are. Give us a compass, give us a map, and show us where we are. Yes, it takes two. But what about all the times you could have initiated sex in the bedroom, but you decided to go wash dishes instead? Okay? That's when you want to be deep. That's when you want to go be praying and being all long-winded washing dishes. Ma'am, you didn't even cook today, so I don't know why there are dishes, because, you just don't want to have sex with your husband. It's ridiculous. We got to talk about that stuff. Yes, it takes two, but what about all the times you spent talking to your girlfriends, being on social media, when you could have been having a conversation with him, but let him act like he got some business, then you want to say, you're not paying attention to me. You're not talking to me. Yes, it takes two, I promise you. But what about all the times you were being petty? Even though he was being petty. He was being petty. Okay? But you know what? It's okay for you to be the bigger person. It's okay. The intentional wife life is about doing it first. It's not about doing it better, but it's about doing it first. Because I'm going to tell you something. God honors that. God honors when we take a moment and say, God, I didn't do that. I don't believe it was me. If it was me, God, I'm sorry. But Lord, I'm going to apologize first. So I want to encourage you, for some of y'all who just got in an argument with your husband right before you got on tonight's call, be the first to apologize, even if it weren't your fault, even if it wasn't your fault. Don't be the first. You won't die if you apologize first. Don't let your OCD, your pickiness, the past issues that you've had, even those of us who've had infidelity issues. If you're going to stay with the man, stay, but don't stay and complain. You got to pick a struggle. Okay? So you stay, you ask God to cleanse your mind, your conscience from all dead works, and Lord, help me to move forward with this man. If this is who you have for me, if he has been forgiven, he's gone to counseling, he's gotten whatever care that you've asked him, or whatever things you asked him to do, and he's doing it, and you're still holding it over his head, God, help me. I want to move forward. I don't want to be like this. Ladies, my main purpose, you don't hear anything I say, I want you to put away childish things. We got to grow up, y'all. And our single sisters, married ladies, we got to help our single sisters grow up before they get married. It's funny how we can be superwoman. We want to be all, when we're at work, we want people to respect us, and we want people to, respect when our clients, we want people to respect what we do and our craft. And we're very strategic and intentional when it comes to other things. But when it comes to our relationships, it's real haphazard. It's real, whatever happens. Well, or we get real deep and say, well, whatever the Lord says. Ma'am, stop being deep. Some stuff you just have to do. So yes, it takes two, but what about you? Ask God to show you where you are dropping the ball in the marriage. That's what the book is about. Ask the Lord, show me where I need to be mature. Show me where I need to stop being emotional and I'm crying all the time and I can't even articulate my thoughts because I'm so busy being stubborn and immature. Make a conscious decision, guys, to fix your issue even before your husband fixes his. If you're being abused, this conversation is not for you. Run for your life. Get your babies, get your bags, and run. But for the rest of us who's spoiled like me, hey, tell on yourself, who's entitled at times like me, who can be self-centered, who can be prideful. Now, some of us will be deep and say, well, I'm one of the most humble people you would ever meet. Pride, ma'am, pride. Because real humble people have to be told they're humble. Okay? Just a thought. So, yes, it takes two, but what about you? What about you? When you go to bed tonight, ask the Father, Father, what about me? Show me. And don't be mad at the answer. But when we get to Maryland, I'm going to show you some strategic ways where you can win in your marriage and not have to manipulate your man. Now, that's the word of the Lord. So, that's all I have for you tonight. I hope you meet us June 2nd and 3rd in Clinton, Maryland with the amazing Pastor Vita McCoy. Pastor Vita, that's what I have for the folks tonight. Okay, she's still on mute. I hope y'all enjoyed that. Thank you for your comments on social media. Thank you for you joining us tonight. We want to make sure that you do your work in your marriage. Pastor Vita, can you hear me?